Hi everyone, this is my anthology, South. I'm going to read the introduction. The first time I crossed the equator into the southern hemisphere was on a KLM flight from Amsterdam to Nairobi in the first week of January 1986. I was 19 years old and venturing to sub-Saharan Africa to study at a small American university there. Shortly after breakfast, a turquoise-clad flight attendant came to where I was scrunched up in economy class. "First time?" she asked brightly. "First time for what?" "First time flying south of the equator." I nodded. "Yes, it is." The attendant handed me a certificate. "Fill out your name, yourself," she said. Since then, I've crossed the equator on dozens of occasions, in the air, on the ocean, and on land as well. Most of the time I don't really think about it, because it doesn't really matter. After all, the invisible line marked red on globes and world maps only holds significance because we place significance upon it. Economists like to drone on about the north-south divide as do geographers and all kinds of academics. On reading their theories, as I tend to do, I find myself groaning at their deductions. I'm not interested in comparing north and south, just as it doesn't interest me to contrast east with west. What does interest me, though, is observing the southern hemisphere of our planet without contrasting it to the north or to anything else. I'm drawn to the study of considering the southern hemisphere all by itself, and better still, by the pursuit of searching out its individual wonders. In the early 90s, I travelled to the Seychelles and spent several weeks roaming that Indian Ocean archipelago, although pretending I was on the trail of certain spices, I was in actual fact searching for buried pirate treasure. In 1721, Olivier Levasseur, known as La Bouse, the Buzzard, plundered a Portuguese ship called Vergem do Corbo. Fearing for his life, he supposedly hid the treasure, valued at more than $200 million in today's money, on the island of Mahe. The hoard is said to have contained a vast amount of golden coins, as well as the 7-foot-tall cross of Goa, encrusted with precious gems and fashioned from the purest gold. An encoded treasure cryptogram was in circulation at the time. A great many adventurers had spent months, even years, interpreting it. Shunning their deductions, I used my knowledge of Abjad, the ancient Arabic system of transcription and divination, to make sense of the map. While my budget held out, I searched for the treasure and had all kinds of adventures on Mahe and on a number of the smaller islands as well. One evening, I sought sanctuary in a bar on the beach, reflecting how I was the only single foreigner in the entire country. Couples, and especially honeymoon couples, frequented the islands. As a result, almost every dish on the restaurant menus was prepared for 2 people, from Chateaubriand steak to crêpe Suzette. While sitting at the bar watching the sun slip graciously into the Indian Ocean, I was approached by a boisterous Seychellois, reeling theatrically from side to side. He was clutching a half-empty bottle of gut-rot palm wine. "Looking for the treasure, are you, sir?" he yelled, his slurred words spoken in French. "News travels fast," I answered. "There are no secrets on Mahe, my friend. So do you have any tips for the treasure?" Taking a good look at me and a good long swig from the bottle, the man punched a fist up in the air. "We look for treasure because it excites our dreams," he cried. "There's no hope of finding it, but it doesn't matter at all. What matters is being changed by the experience of adventure." A moment or two later, the drunk man and his lengthening shadow had vanished. But what he said to me in that fleeting encounter stuck with me in the most profound way. In the years that followed, I searched for magic, lost cities, prehistoric cave systems, hidden manuscripts, and yet more treasure. Each time I chose a quest, I made sure it was even more captivating than the one before. Of course, I knew the odds were stacked against me, but like the drunk man on the beach who had grasped so keenly, there's no need to actually find the treasure. The important thing is to embrace adventure and to find oneself.